All right, what's going on today? Kind of everything has been pretty crazy, and I've honestly kind of gotten caught up in things. There's just so much going on, and there's been some fear. I'll be honest, there's been just some fear. So, one of the things that, for whatever reason, I fear like scarcity. I don't know why, but I feel like I don't have a ton of stuff. But I have, I have everything that I kind of need, but it's hard for me to enjoy just being as I am. Even though I have everything that I need, there's like a want, or like I feel like I don't have enough almost. And just for example, I got my kitty. I love my kitty. Hey, buddy. And then, I'll just be honest. This, like, hopefully the camera can see. But, like, that's the building that I live in. Like, it is, dude, it's not fancy. Look at the window, seal, and just, like, it's pretty jank, dude. But I have everything that I need. I have everything that I need with this house. I don't own it, but I've got a place to live. So anyways, I'm just trying to like figure out ways to think about things. Like, how can I stop feeling like there isn't enough? Sorry, my kitty's rolling the tripod. How can I stop feeling like there isn't enough when, I feel like there is enough? So as common as it is, I used to be like a Google searcher, so I do use AI, and I'm just using like a Lumo. And either way, man, what it came up with, I thought was pretty good. So I just was gonna kind of think about it. So I'll read what I asked, just so you kind of know. But I'm just trying to figure stuff out, and I figured making this video. Maybe I can make this video and maybe the algorithm will see, and maybe it'll just show me another video, someone else that has like kind of an answer or response to this. Or maybe someone will watch this and they'll get something out of this. I don't know. Hopefully we're all kind of like, we're all on the planet together, and I'm hoping we're all working together here. It's very tough. So I kind of just said, I was thinking about scarcity and the world, and sometimes it feels like there's not enough for everyone to have. It feels like there's not enough for everyone to have more than we need. No, wait, okay. Sorry. I was like, I feel like there isn't enough, but I feel like there's more than enough in the world for everyone. Okay, so we'll just kind of break it down. The big thing is that, I kind of see it as like there's enough everywhere, but then there's the like location and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I can't address any of those things. There are huge things that I can't address. Like, I can't control the flow of supply and stuff like that. So there was a section here. So there was like a psychological behavior angle. I thought this was pretty good. I feel kind of silly just reading this to the camera, but honestly, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So I'm doing it. So it just says, humans experience scarcity subjectively, even when objective resources are abundant. The perception of scarcity can shape behavior. So the scarcity mindset, when people feel they lack something, time, money, or attention, they tend to focus narrowly on that deficit, often at the expense of long-term planning. I definitely do that. Fear of missing out. Social media amplifies perceived scarcity of experiences, status, or validation, driving consumption patterns that may not align with actual need. I definitely get sucked into that. I don't necessarily know if it's like watching I don't watch too much social media, but I guess sometimes it's not even social media. Just around me, I'll see people driving really nice vehicles or having really nice houses and like just, having really nice stuff. And I'm like, man, I wish I had that, but I've got what I need. And then also, like sometimes I'm trying to be happy to where like I could get those things and have them and feel, like I would enjoy having it, but also like sometimes people work so hard and they maybe get something cool or like something that looks cool, but like it doesn't fulfill them because they like gave up so much to get that thing. And now, so anyways, that's just something that I think about. I don't know the answer to that. I think that there are a lot of different answers out there, and those answers are for, they align with different people. All right, so there's another thing, ethical, philosophical dimension. Scarcity raises fundamental questions about justice and fairness. Like how should limited resources be allocated? Should we prioritize the worst off and reward effort or aim for equality, moral obligations? If we recognize that scarcity harms vulnerable populations, we have a duty, individual or collective, to mitigate, example, through clarity or charity, policy advocacy, or systemic reform. So this kind of throws in philosophers such as John Rawls argue for a difference principle that permits inequalities only if they benefit the least advantaged. Others, like libertarians, emphasize voluntary exchange and minimal coercion. Not sure if I'm spelling that or saying that correctly. Trusting markets to resolve scarcity over time. I'm not sure. I don't have the answers to these questions. One of the things that I took away from this and made me want to make this video in the first place was actually what it means for me. What is this scarcity, perceived or real, actually mean for me? So, prioritization. So this is, for me to do, I think. Prioritization. Recognizing scarcity helps me decide what truly matters. So I'm needing to apply this to myself. I'm not rejecting the rest of the world. I cannot, especially by myself, solve those problems. And so me helping myself and maybe making this video and maybe helping someone else, or like even if maybe this isn't even the right way to think about it, if I can be like, okay, and then someone else, comes in with something better. But anyways, so it's just like, I'm just trying here. I'm not trying to ignore everyone else, and I'm not trying to be self-centered or anything like that. So here we go. Once again, prioritization. So recognizing scarcity helps me decide what truly matters. Instead of trying to chase every opportunity, you can allocate time and money toward goals that align with my values. So once again, if I see other people chasing certain things, I think I'd have to see how that applies to me. Just because it maybe seems to make them happy, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will make me happy. Okay? So, resilience building, diversifying income streams, cultivating community networks. I'm just going to pause right here. I am so happy and grateful now that I am making money from multiple sources in increasing quantities on a continuous basis. Okay. Bob Proctor. Resilience billing. Okay, so diversifying income streams, cultivating community networks, and learning basic self-sufficiency. This says gardening, budgeting can buffer against external shortages. So I guess I would look around me and see what the scarcity is and then try to address it. But at the same time, okay, we'll just continue here. So number 3, so this says advocacy. So individual choices, avoiding voting, supporting policies, reducing waste, aggregate into societal pressure that can reshape how resources are distributed. So I think that that's going to be, in my community. I live in a relatively small community, but I'm seeing that, like, that's a starting point for me. I might not be able to change the whole nation or even the whole state, or even I might not be able. I'm not saying I need to change stuff, but just try to help things be better. And that's kind of how I'm going to do that, or that's one of the ways. But the first thing is my family. So my family, my friends. I'm starting there, and then I want to try to help the community as well. So my friends and my family help me out so much, so I just try to be as much of a help to them as they are to me. So, continuing on here, this is where I was like, this says a thought experiment, but I'm like, we're kind of living that thought experiment right now. Imagine a world where every basic need. So it's not a thought experiment necessarily for me, because I'm pretty privileged. I do have a lot of stuff around me, and I'm very grateful for that. So this is kind of applying to me. Kind of, not necessarily, sorry. Anyways, imagine a world where every basic need, food, shelter, healthcare, education, is guaranteed at a livable standard for all. Scarcity would still exist, but it would be reframed. Choice scarcity. With basic needs met, people might grapple more with too many options rather than not enough. Creative scarcity. The competition could shift toward intangible resources, recognition, purpose, artistic expression, where abundance is less quantifiable. So then it says, this highlights that scarcity is not merely a physical condition, it's also a relational one. As we alleviate material shortages, new forms of scarcity, attention, meaning, emerge, demanding fresh ways of thinking. Man, that's really tough, because I don't really know how to address that. Okay, here we go. I think I've got a good question. So the thought experiment was great. Now, let's try to figure out how to best live in a world where maybe there aren't material shortages and there are the intangible shortages or scarcities. Initially, my thoughts are almost to be able to have the mind not feel like it needs those intangible, kind of new, scarce fulfillments. I'm not sure if that was... Okay, I'm not sure if that was right. I'm just going to keep on going a little bit here. So living well when material needs are met, but intangible shortages remain. Okay, so when basic food, shelter, healthcare, education are reliably provided, the pressures that used to dominate daily life shift. The new scarcity isn't about calories or square meters. It's about meaning, attention, connection, and a sense of purpose. Below is a roadmap that blends personal practice, social design, and cultural habits to help the mind feel fulfilled even when old material worries disappear. Man, that's crazy. Okay, so So recalibrate what enough looks like. So traditional scarcity would be money leads to buying food, paying rent, and apparently medications, man. See, these are some of the things like enough would be like that you don't necessarily have rent, I don't think. Because then, but then mortgages. Anyway, so we'll just keep on going. So that's traditional scarcity. So the new intangible landscape is time. So endless options, constant notifications. Okay, so it says a practical shift for that is to set boundaries on digital consumption. Well, I don't know if that actually aligns totally. So let's go on to the next one. Physical goods. So competing for the latest gadget. Okay. Is that what's happening? Sometimes I would feel like I needed to buy a new gadget to be able to make money or something. Okay, so physical goods, so competition for the latest gadget. So then that in the intangible is attention. So competing for mental bandwidth. That's kind of like my YouTube video. So adopt a single task mindset. Focus on one activity at a time. Use Pomodoro or similar methods. Maybe I should try that. Okay, so status symbols are visible wealth. So the intangible would be like social validation, likes, followers, reputation. Okay, so then like the opposite, I think, or the practical shift would be to cultivate intrinsic metrics, skill mastery, personal growth rather than external applause. Dude, that's perfect. That's actually one thing is like, don't, I'm not necessarily trying to like visually look wealthy. I'm not necessarily trying to get likes, followers, and reputation. I am, because it like, one, this would be a great job. I would love to be able to support myself with having these talks, and like I'm literally just trying to think through my life. So it's like if I could somehow make a living on that, that would be so cool. But at the same time, to actually be able to like make a good video that people want to watch, like, I can't just be concerned about the likes, followers, and reputation themselves. I've got to have skill mastery and personal growth, because that's going to be what would set me apart from someone else. Like, if I'm able to break this stuff down in a way that other people and myself, like main thing, sadly, is I'm just trying to understand this. And if everyone else can kind of get some help from this too, that would be awesome, because in a non-selfish way, but also selfish way, it's like, sometimes I would almost see myself making it, but then I would like try to have fun with other people, because I then would be able to have fun, and I'd be like, all right, let's go and have some fun, like real fun, not going out partying, drinking, and distraction fun. Let's go and have some real fun. Like, I don't even know what that is, proper discussion, out in nature, just like looking at stuff and being like, wow, this is crazy. But like, if I make it and there's no one, there aren't enough other people, like then I would kind of be alone. I might not be lonely, but I would be alone. So it would be much better to not be alone and have, other people. So I always kind of think of like the Bible, and I don't know the exact passage, but it's like, what I want for me, I want for everyone. And it's a true sense. It is a true sense, because if I have whatever I have, like I would want to share it with people. I wouldn't just, I don't want to just have it to myself. I want to share it with people. That's the biggest experience. I get to share it with people. So, okay, I'm on a ramble, so I'm going to keep on going here. So the next thing, that was the first one. So the second one is build a personal meaning architecture. This is kind of cool, man. This stuff maybe sounds kind of silly, but I dig kind of deep into stuff, but I think I look at it and then I move on. So identify core values. Write down 5 through 7 values that truly resonate. So curiosity, man, that's one thing. It's like curiosity killed the cat. And then some of the other things, I'm like, sometimes curiosity. Anyways, these are just examples. So curiosity, generosity, stewardship, and creativity. So this is kind of the stuff like when sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. But then now I'm making this video and I'm reading this and I'm like, I really want to know like an in-depth I want to understand what true generosity is. I want to understand what stewardship truly is. Okay, so it says write those 5 to 7 values down and then rank them. Let the top 3 guide weekly decisions. Man, that's pretty cool. For a little while, I was doing things where I was like, if I don't feel like this benefits me, then I'm not gonna do it. Like if for my job and stuff like that, I'd be like, nope. If this is for the job, but this is for me, I would always prioritize the thing over me. But then my work stuff wasn't keeping up, so it wasn't working out. So create purpose projects. Choose a modest, concrete project that lives out a top value. Okay, so this says mentoring a junior colleague. Okay, contributing a short article to a community newsletter. That's really cool, actually. Planting a small garden. These are just kind of silly things, but it's like, dude, if I actually did them, I'd probably really actually feel good. And then it's like, if I'm not doing those things, what am I doing? Worrying about stuff? Okay, so this says practice narrative reflection. I'm already pretty into journaling. I've got some other stuff that I'm doing, but I think I should integrate that. Okay, so I'm just trying to see if there's anything specific here. This is kind of interesting. Shared goals. So open source project. I'm into technology. It was community garden, neighborhood cleanup. Host a monthly story night where participants share personal lessons or creative work. That's cool. So these are some of the things, and then it's almost weird because sometimes once I kind of get in the groove, then I don't feel like I need to do that stuff anymore because I've kind of habitually gotten into it. And, but I usually spiral back, so I haven't locked things in. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So this says embrace positive scarcity, the art of anticipation. Scarcity can be positive when it creates anticipation and appreciation. Okay. So seasonal experiences. Only attend a concert or travel to a destination once a year. The rarity heightens the joy. Limited edition projects. Create small batch of handmade items for your friends. The effort. Okay. There's a lot of stuff here. Okay, so the big thing for me is that I was taken away was that, like, the scarcity thing. So I can't address the scarcity of the world. I can't really know for sure what might be scarce in the future for me. But I can look around my surroundings right now and see what is scarcity. And I think taking care of myself and my surroundings. I think I need to spend a little more time listening to myself. And but the sad thing on that is I'm going to have to do boring stuff. I'm going to have to get my finances on track. I'm going to actually have to think about my diet and just kind of do some planning and stuff like that. So it's not exciting stuff. It's not exciting stuff that I'm thinking about that's going to help me get over some of that material scarcity. But then, right, I've got to figure out the intangible scarcities that kind of might creep in once I've got all my material stuff done. I can definitely relate, or wealthier people, it's like, yeah, you're feeling extremely scarce on a lot of these things because you have all of these things, so you don't have to worry about it. And I used to think that that was a bad thing. And, you know, it's just tough. You know, they're just trying to do the best that they can. They maybe don't know how to handle the situation. So this is all a lot of new stuff for a lot of people. And I don't really know the guides. I don't know where the guides are. Where are the guides? There's no, I don't know of any role models to look up to. So it's like, it's pretty tough, you know? Any potential role model is just, they lived in a time that's different than right now. So you can't understand how things would be.